Hey everybody, Grant here at Mega City Performance. I get some questions about the choke nut. So I'm converting my bike back to using the lever on the handlebar to use the choke. So if you can see here, all you have to do is pull the spring back, and this has a slot in it. So then you take the old one off, put the new brass one on, slide it back in there. It's that easy. Excuse me. Also get quite a few questions about how to get that in the carb. So I have an old wrench where I used to work. We had a whole shed full of old stuff, like 70s stuff. So I stole with permission, stole this and ground it down to fit. That fits KLR650, it fits a lot of the Cowie quads, it fits some Suzuki's. And here's a 10 that I use for the same thing. This was for sinking carbs on Intruder 1400s, I think, V-twins. If I remember. I don't actually really remember. That's just my best guess. So we're going to go putting this choke back in the carb. And I do it on this side. And if you don't have enough room, you can take off this top motor mount and get the cable way further through. I kind of like to fight with it, as short as it is. So make sure my handlebars are turned to the left. I'll probably have to, that gives me more room. Might have to move the camera. Handlebar to the left, so the cable's longest as it can be. Oh, we'll see how this works. So you can just kind of notice the intake is plugged, so that little spring or the choke plunger or something, nothing can fly in there. I'm just going to set this in here. I'll feed the fuel line in a bit. And how's your vision? Okay, try and keep my mitts out of the way. Now I'm going to pull this, the choke nut, I'm pulling it to collapse, pull this in, so now I can move it around wherever I need to. And it is still a bugger, but there, it's threading. So I know you can't see that really, but I showed you the tricks. Now that's threaded in. Tighten it up with my 12mm, and I'm gonna leave the boot on the cable pulled back, because you don't want this in there when you're trying to stick it in. You don't want the cable slipping into the choke nut, so you gotta watch that stays out, because you got 3-4 millimeters of play right there, and that was intentional when I built the choke nut. It's important too to have your choke adjuster, which is just on the other side of the frame. You want to have that bottomed right out, so you got the most you need. And with the MCP carb kit, once the flaws in the design are fixed, there is no reason to need that much choke. So just collapse the adjuster and give it as much free play as you can, because the choke acts a lot stronger. It's the same choke, it's a fixed choke. So I'm going to take that out. We're going to go through install here real quick, getting it in the boots. That's a problem zone for everybody. So what I'm going to do, I'll move this a little bit. I'm going to collapse. I'm going to use the back end of the carb to just push that over. The airbox boot, just push it over. It's the exact same as my step-by-step picture diary on Facebook. So you watch, I'm just going to push the back end of the carb in there. I don't care about the boot right now. All I want it to do is be out of the way. And then you just slide the front in. It's easy as that. Here's the part that gets people, and I'll show you the trick to that. Get my screwdriver. I'm going to use a Phillips screwdriver. And see if I can get Lori all down here. Maybe I'll close my door a bit. That's better. The door won't stay. One sec. No. Still not. There we go. Okay. Now, there we go. There's a little notch at the top of the manifold boot and a little tab on the front of the carb. So if you just wiggle it, you can find that notch. Now the back boot, you see it's pushed right off. That's exactly what I want. I'm gonna stick this down here. I'm trying to do it through the cameras. So I'm just gonna make sure the boot is all the way, that the other side is lined up. That's the hard side. Now if you look, this is where the boot is just, it's all back there. Maybe we can do the bottom easier. The bottom, you can see that I can just get my screwdriver in there, so it's now in the boot, and I've got it turned over to the side, and I'm just going to twist it. Get it back in there. Now I'm just going to twist it and lift up, and make sure I don't pull off the bottom side. That's why you twist it. And it's being a bit of a bugger, of course. And you just pull the boot out and pull it around and keep twisting. And I'm working it up to the top here. And there, it's on. And then you spin the carb just in that notch and tab and make sure everything's seated. You can reach around and feel it, that nothing's folded. And then we put our clamp on. Man, it's getting hot in this shed. It's probably 90 degrees in here. So now remember, we got the float bowl vent line right here. And I'm just open that up and slide it around. Through the camera is definitely harder. Okay, got the clamp out. Get it up to the side. Shouldn't be doing this with a screw in my hand, because if I drop it and it goes under the starter, you're in trouble. Okay, so I got the clamp in the groove. I'm gonna squeeze it, and see it wasn't seated right. So I just wiggle it around and squeeze it slowly, and it should come within like 3/8 of an inch apart just with your fingers. And we screw in our screw, and a big thing people do is they tighten this way too tight. Oh, and I got the clamp upside down. Perfect. I blame the camera 100%. I'm not taking the hit for that one. So just pulled it straight out. So now it was that way. I need to go this way. Put it around again. Get it slid up in place. Squeeze it. My fingers go within 3/8 of an inch. And I got the screw. And I'm not in at the top here. There we go. We'll give that a few turns and then wiggle it back and forth. Make sure it's seated. which I'm pretty positive it is. So we're about to breathe in again. It's freaking hot in here and I don't have the best lungs. Well, at least I'm not chewing gum this time, right? Everybody? Okay. So this one's not even tight. I don't know if you can, like, you don't tighten it till it's tight to feel. Now you watch. No, it's not slipping in the boot. We're good. You don't want it any tighter than that. I'll loosen it off a little bit and you'll see. Now you can see it's slipping in the boot as well as turning the boot. So not tight enough. And I just know from so many years and the feel of how tight it's got to be. And of course after I'll just wiggle it and double check. But now, if you remember, we didn't let the cable get sucked into the choke nut. So, well, I'm just going to put this front clamp back on, tighten it, and then we'll get that choke nut in there and the float bowl vent hooked up. Let's slide the clamp forward. There we go. These are JIS screwdrivers. They make a difference. I was stubborn about them for a while, but they do fit the screw perfectly. Okay, again, I can feel that it's tight. I don't need to crank it down. Nothing's moving. Give it a shake, and you're good. I'm going to put the throttle cables on while we're on this side. And you basically guess. Hook one up and see what happens. If it's the wrong one, then you hook the other one up. Oh, too far. So you just get the cable in there, around the back side. Whoops, jumped up. Okay. And I can tell this is the right way because that is the closing cable. This one gets hooked up down here. This is where actually a lot of people make mistakes, is setting the tension. So we can see that's operating properly. So now, what you want to do is screw that one pretty much all the way. And then this one you can see that's tight there. So these are both tight when I pull up. So we haven't got enough play. So now, still a little too tight. That's about right. Let's check at the bar. Maybe a little more. Okay, you want like a couple millimeters at least at the bar. As far as measuring how much the grip is turning. Oh, it's been a while. You gotta do this one up first usually, or it's a bugger. Okay, so now we have an issue. That nut's too close. So I'm gonna loosen this off. Turn this up enough so I can get that nut tight. And now, so tight there. Back that off. Yeah, that's about right there. So you gotta have free play there, or you're just wearing out your choke or your throttle linkage unnecessarily. Now anything further that we need, we can adjust at the handlebar adjusters. So that's set. Tuck your cables away. It's got to go under there, under that bumper on the frame. So you want them set under the bumper, inside the clamp. Let's go to this side. So, camera, looks okay. So now, I'm just gonna bring this up here, again under the clamp on the side there, and then just push it in. And then the trick is, you gotta push this rubber bumper up and get it to snap over the little ridge that's built into the choke nut for it to snap into. Pull it up at the handlebar. And then all I have to do is secure it with knot ties. One there. That's probably good. But I wanted to check. Well, that's tight. But it's not that tight. I think I'm gonna knot tie it above this little thing, this clamp. Because I have the clamp set up differently. This is from the other side. This bottom one here is from the other side. This top one used to be in that bottom hole and I moved it up. So I think I'm going to take it out and put the choke cable above it, and that'll give me the little bit of breathing room that I want. But that's the carb in. Choke's in, tightened up. Carb's in, all hooked up. Oh, float ball vent line. Let's check that. I've seen it work. You get it stuck in the boot, in between the boot and the there we go. It's about the best shot we're gonna get of it. So there's the nipple right there. So I'm gonna dig a little bit over here, find that hose. Where is it? There it is. Way down there. So I got it up close. Let's grab my needles. Really hard to do with the camera in the way, but it is what it is. And when you're sweating on your glasses. Okay, I did it with my finger. There we go. Slid all the way on there. Now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna check it. We're back here. And you blowing it. And I can hear air coming out the fuel line that I have my little fancy filter on, so it doesn't get a wee little piece of crap falling in that was sitting on this edge while it was plugged onto the fuel tank. It sits on that edge, falls in, washes into the float. Float leaks, the bike floods. So that's the carburetor put in. That back boot, if you do it that way, it's not that bad after you do it once or twice. Grant here, Mega City Performance. Have a good weekend.